It was a knife that was made for guys who were at war. This is elegance that can only come out of peacetime. A lot of times they're talismans to our success, and I kind of sketched this line based off of that, and we've milled it down like the wing of an airplane. It will outlast you. Why not have spectacular? There are only a few marquee knives in America. Maybe the Rambo knife, maybe the Buck 110, you know, that little one with the brass on each end and the rosewood in the middle. There's a couple other high-end makers in the collector niche. And there's a couple of styles, the K-bar fighting knife. There's really only a few kind of marquee knives in the American lexicon. This is the knife. This is the latest version of the Praetorian tie. This is a knife that I've been making for over 10 years. There are thousands and thousands of them in service around the planet. It is a tough, rugged statement of a knife. I've done a lot of things to it to up the ante, but the original story about this knife was I was making knives at a time when everyone wasn't doing all these high-end tactical knives. And there were a couple of companies doing it a little bit. And there was a couple companies who were really into it, but they weren't doing it like very well. And so I jumped into a kind of open space in the marketplace. And initially I was selling knives for a number that was the right number, but everybody was so trying to compete with Asian imported, China imported knives that they were shocked by the price. And then when I just showed what it takes to make it and basically made a statement about what it costs to make it, we came up with the Praetorian and its price. And it was kind of almost flipping the bird to the market. I want to make a knife so cool that someone doesn't say, oh geez, well, that's $300, that's too expensive. So no, I'm not even going to play there. I wanted to do something spectacular. And that's what we did with the Praetorian tie. I paused the knife for the last year and a half to come up with the latest version of it. And the latest version of it is something that it's for everybody. The Praetorian tie idea came from me sitting at a knife show that was for collectors who wanted bone handle knives, who didn't understand tactical knives. I wanted to make a knife that was so cool it knocked their socks off and nobody would ask. And that's where the Praetorian came from. I sat down and sketched it in about 5 minutes. I keep this drawing here as a reminder of me sketching and where a great idea can come from. Such a simple notion. Here's the very first Praetorian I ever made, sitting here on my desk. I keep these here like old friends to keep me humble and remind me of the mission. Where did I get the name from? That was the close guard to Caesar, and they obviously didn't do their job completely right. But the reason I picked the name was this inspirational line for this is the nose of a Roman battle horse. And if you look at the front, and they call it a Roman nose, the Roman nose of a chariot towing horse. I actually took a Roman nose horse and I kind of sketched this line based off of that. And I built a line about this warrior kind of archetypal shape. And anybody who's got an equestrian background knows what a Roman nose or a dish nose looks like on a horse. And that was the name behind the knife, or that was the inspiration to the main line of the knife. When you start designing a knife, you gotta start someplace. So you start with a line or a concept or an edge, and then you build around that. That's what happened. And then after you've done that, and you've been kind of immersing your thoughts and your brain and your kind of creative zeitgeist, your spirit in Roman, mixing like what's badass Roman that's not taken up for a knife name already. And Praetorian arrived at my doorstep. I imagine it was available because it's not an easy initial pronunciation, but everybody knows how to say it now. If you ask anybody in the knife business, you show them a picture of that knife, they will instantly know what that knife is. There's no wondering, oh, I wonder if it was this guy or wonder if it was that guy. Oh, that's Greg Medford's thing, that's a Praetorian. Same as a 911. When you see a 911 go down the road, you don't wonder, gosh, is that a 280Z? Is that the new Mustang? There's no wondering. It's that much of a signature. You know, when you see a K-bar from across the room, you don't wonder if it's this or that or the other. You go, oh, that's K-bar. You know, when you see one of Jimmy Lyle's original Rambo knives, when you see a real Rambo knife, you're like, oh, you just, all you picture is this sweaty guy with no shirt on and a headband on being chased down on a mountain. You know it's Rambo. So I have a really kind of stringent requirement to call something a marquee knife. It's got to be recognizable from across the room. It has to be differentiating. It has to alter the course of the business and has to influence others. And that knife meets all of those requirements. When I was designing knives originally, we had 2 wars going on and hundreds of thousands of men deployed in battle, and some women too, obviously. And I was making knives for them. That was my tribe. Those are the people I came from. I understood their language. I understood what they wanted. I understood what they needed. And I came up with the knife. And immediately, the first knife ever, that one was carried by a Navy SEAL for years. I sent them out to friends in the military who bought them up like they were going out of style. That was a $1,200 knife 13 years ago. And, you know, that knife with all of the, you know what the price of eggs has done? You know what a breakfast costs? You know, you and your girl or your wife go out for breakfast now, it's $60, right? That knife was $1,200 a dozen years ago. It's $1,400 now. It was a knife that was made for guys who were at war. It was made to be a cool style piece. It was made to stand apart. It was made to be awesome. It was made to pry open a door, cut, stab, slash, twist, and whatever else was needed. And what's astounding out of that is how many civilian people went crazy for it. So we made this knife, I made this knife for these war fighters, and next thing you know, I've got a list of, you know, I sold 10,000 of them. And they went to civilians, a lot of them went to civilians, a lot went to military. And so what I did is I took a break and I said, how can I do it new? How can I make it really fucking cool? All of that adds up to the present moment. You know, they say you can never step in the same river twice. And it's the same way with the Praetorian. We've been out of it for 1.5 years, and I've been working on the new twist. And the new twist was to take great lines and make it fit the hand in a modern way. Was to add the elegance that was the only critique I got from people was, oh, it's chunky, it's big, it's this, it's that, and the other. And the few negative things or the few critiques I've heard over the years, there was a reason for them. It would be like saying, geez, that M1 Abrams tank is sure clunky. Yeah, it's a fucking tank. Tanks are a bit clunky. I wanted to bring something really elegant to the table with the lines of the Praetorian. So I wanted to bring the sexy part of the success of the knife, but we don't have, thank God, 2 wars going on, the global war on terror. We don't have all of these people, hundreds of thousands of them deployed in combat. And it's a big world out there of people living mostly in peace. So I wanted to take this warfighting tool and dress it up, or maybe dress it down. And you know, Rodin said, the sculpture is already in the stone. All I do is remove the extra pieces. And all I did with this knife really is I took the flat stuff and I made it elegant and got rid of the extra. And at the end of the day, I put a plan form in the hand that disappears and is really comfortable. It's got my most current techniques for everything. It's got a new clip, which you guys will see. Everything about it is sexy. And these are not all hand sculpted. These are precision CNC made right here in our shop in Phoenix, Arizona. And they've got beautiful camber and contour to them. So when you take something like this, these two are the same exact thickness. How is that even possible? And what we've done is we've taken the chunkiness of this and we've milled it down like the wing of an airplane or like a Hershey bar. And when you make something ergonomic, it has all of that girth and strength, and it disappears in your hand because it follows the natural curves of your grip. Maybe you could see here with this gold finish, you can see the curvature. And the clip, I almost want the clip to be a surprise when you guys see it, so I'm not gonna dive into the clip too much. But this is our contour Praetorian tie. You can hop on to medfordknife.com and see these right now. It's medfordknife.com/Praetorian tie. So a knife like this, you can come out of the gate with it, but most of the time you don't come out of the gate with the most refined iteration. If you think of the early GT40, if you think of the early Porsche 911, if you think of the earliest K-bars, if you think of the earliest of anything, you get a version of it, and over time it evolves and becomes better and better and better. And this is elegance that can only come out of peacetime. There's 2 hours of new machining added to every single knife to give it this presence and to give it this ergonomic functionality in the hand, to dress it down, to take a flat slab war fighting, man-eating tool and make it into something that has that presence but feels more elegant, is lighter, and that kind of thing. It's only kind of a result of peacetime. The peacetime that we get from the price and tax we pay of war allows for the largesse of luxury evolution. And that's really what we have here with this knife. It's a luxury evolution of a wartime tool that I made. You're gonna see the price and go, I don't understand. So I'll take a minute and I'll explain to you. But there are things in life, and if you're the uninitiated into high-end knives, you got some learning to do. But there are things in this life that when you have them, they make a statement. There's no doubt what they mean. When you see somebody wearing a gold Rolex Presidential, they've either arrived, their dad arrived, or they had one hell of a killer sales year. When you see a guy come rolling up in his first new Porsche, the same can be said. When you see the guy buy the baller house that nobody really needs, same can be said there. When you see somebody flex and pay retail for first class to go to Europe or Asia or whatever, there are things in life that are a flex. And let me tell you, if you're the guy carrying this knife out in the world, that is a flex in your pocket. It is a flex in your hand. Guys will see that clip and be like, hey man, whoa. They're not gonna ask you what kind of Armani jacket you have. They're not gonna ask you, they're probably not gonna ask you about your pants. If you've got amazing shoes, nobody will even, guys always like, dude's well dressed, but people, maybe they, but you wear a presidential Rolex, wear a Daytona, wear the all titanium Omega, and wear a knife like that with a clip hanging out of your pocket. It screams, I've arrived. It screams, I've got awesome taste. It screams, I buy spectacular things that will last generations. And that speaks of someone who has made it. And that's what these knives are. These are, a lot of times, they're talismans to our success. A lot of times, these are a little thing your hand rubs on while you're talking to somebody. Maybe your hand's under the desk while you're sitting there talking to somebody, in your hand, your thumb's kind of hooked on your knife and you're cutting a deal, you're doing a business deal. There's something badass about things that are so awesome. The Rolex was made originally for military divers, and it became the symbol of success. And this has a similar kind of pedigree to that. It's an analogous pedigree, and it means you've made it. This knife says, I'm gonna buy one time. I'm not worried about what it costs, because over the course of the 20, 30 years I'm gonna carry this, it's $50 a year. That's what it amounts to. And I'm not gonna need to pull from Mother Earth titanium again. I'm not gonna need to spew into our air more plastic for a handle. I don't need to fund more ore being stripped from the earth. I've done it one time. It steals as much from our planet to make one crappy knife as it does to make one spectacular knife. Why not have spectacular? What does American made mean? What does American mean anymore? What does it mean? Does it mean we're pro-trans? Does it mean we're for girls and men's sports? Does it mean we're for universal income for people who don't work? It doesn't mean any of those things. Those are clown car sideshows to what it means to be American. What it means to be American is do something spectacular because you can. Do something great because it's possible. That's what American means. Do something great because it's possible, not because the king told me to, not because the queen said I was supposed to, not because my dad did it, therefore I do it. And it's a legacy thing like that. American is ultimately about the expression of the self. What does it mean to buy American? It means that the things I buy support the morals that I believe in. My morals believe, my guts believe in most of the morality of my country. They really do. I don't walk around protesting everything. I think everything's pretty good. So I try to buy things from this ecosystem. Aristotle was sentenced to death to drink hemlock. And the court of Athens said, you know, Aristotle, can't you just leave town? You don't have to drink the hemlock. And Aristotle said, well, no, I've lived under the rules of this city. If the city is determined I should die, then I'll die by the rules of this city. It's being true to oneself and being true to one's community. It is a legacy purchase. It will last you your lifetime. And if you carry it for your lifetime, while you're laying in your coffin, one of your children will walk over to mom and go, hey, where's dad's pocket knife? At the right moment. Not when a hug and a tear is in order, but they will ask. Your son or your daughter, maybe your daughter gives that knife to your grandson. Maybe your son holds it and gives it to his son. That's how long these knives will last. These knives can be carried by your grandchildren and serviced by my company for them, on your behalf. That's what a legacy purchase is. I've read that 88% of all Porsche 911s ever made are licensed and on the road driving. That's astounding. That's astounding. What do you think that number is for most cars? I will tell you, I still see occasionally one of my original 20 Praetorians come in. They do not have polish on them from a diaper sitting in a safe. They have pocket wear from hitting coins and bumping into a wallet, and bumping into a cell phone, and gouges and scratches and nicks all over them from getting used. For 12 years, hard. You know what we do? We take them apart, we clean them up, we grease them. Little steel wool if there's a little corrosion someplace, a little cleanup here, a little polish there. We put them back together. They lock like a bank vault. They go into a box and they go right back to an owner who basically emails me and says, you guys are unbelievable, thanks. Can't believe it. That's what you get. That's what a legacy purchase is. It's not disposable. It's not temporal. When you buy a knife from me, it will outlast you. It's worth every penny.